All right, Coach Clemsen, got Maryland here, day before CKLV. Maybe break down first month of the season so far leading up to this point.
Well, we've had some mixed results. We didn't wrestle great at American. We got to win. We had some guys do well at Missouri. We had some guys not look as sharp as I'd like. We wrestled better against Pittsburgh, and we lost. Pittsburgh's a really good team. You know, it's crazy you lose a 5-5 split when you have a bonus point in your home gym. You're like, but it's the way it is. Credit to Keith. They repaid the favor from last year. I think that's kind of to be expected. We're still young, you know, really young. And it's early. And so probably, I don't want to say a good thing we're not wrestling our best, but it's a long season to try to maintain your best. So at least our kids are wrestling hard, and that's given us, you know, things to work on. We've gotten back to the room and gotten back to, you know, breaking film down and sitting down with guys and getting ready for individual plans and even corporate plans when we're going over technique. And so we've had a lot to like get through, which is a really good problem to have because our kids are fighting. And when you fight, you can get better at wrestling. If you don't go out and fight, it's like, oh, I don't know what to help you with. I can't fight for you. So I felt like our kids' energy has been really good. Hopefully we continue to do that this weekend.
Yeah, you started the season off actually kind of with a tough schedule,
yeah.
And then leading into this is the toughest tournament of the year. Was this by design, or what do you take from a tough beginning schedule like this?
I mean, we're in the Big Ten. You wrestle the best teams all the time, so it really makes no difference. You're going to see the best teams at the Nationals. You're going to see the best teams in the Big Tens. You're going to see good teams all Big Ten season. We might as well see good teams outside of the Big Ten season and just give our kids opportunities to really challenge themselves and see where they are. And we'll continue to adjust our schedule and what we do and when we do it as we continue to mature our program. But we just felt like this was the right mix for us, and it gave us Christmas off. Traditionally, we'd gone to Scuffle, and we're not doing that this year. We kind of traded those two events out, and so I'm looking forward to our kids having a little bit of a refresher before we jump into that Big Ten grind.
Yeah, we talked a little bit beforehand, off camera, kind of a half squad, split squad here. What was that decision like, determining who would come here, who would stay back?
Yeah, you just try to think about what's best for each individual guy. It's an individual tournament. It's not the qualifier. It's not the Nationals, right? I think every one of our guys was healthy enough to probably come here except one. And even if it was the Big Tens, he'd probably wrestle. So we just really thought about what was best for each guy, and then we kind of put them in a bucket. We sat a guy out. We got a couple guys at George Mason, and we got a couple guys here this weekend. And we may have a scratch tomorrow morning too. I'm not going to give you who it is, but I read the article you guys had on with my alumnus Tony Roby, and it's that time of year. Guys are just kind of nicked, and I'm a big baseball fan. They always say you can't win the World Series in April, but you sure as hell can lose it. I think the same thing about wrestling. You can't win the Nationals in December, but you can probably lose it. And so we're just kind of trying to find that balance of when to push and when to pull.
Yeah, is that something you've learned over the years? Like, would you have made this decision years past, or is it just something you've picked up over the years?
I mean, I think some of it's maturity, probably. Some of it's reading your team. Some of it is the sport's evolving and how you earn your spot and your seed for the Nationals, and just there's a lot of factors that go into it. But really, it comes down to what's best for the individual and making that adjustment. And probably 20 years ago, when I was an athlete, no. It would have been Flynn and Roselli telling you to get your ass on the bus and shut your mouth and, throw haymakers. Both those guys have evolved past that as well. I mean, they're great coaches, right? But I think the sport in general has changed slightly since then, and kids have changed, right? Like, I was a 3-sport athlete all through high school, basically. Kids today are single-sport athletes from the time they're like 10 or 12, So it's different. And we'll continue to evolve and adapt as we need to and do what's best for each one of our kids.
Yeah. With the guys that you do have here, I feel like they can make some noise. They
Sure.
might take some people by surprise. Talk about some of the guys you have here and what you've seen from them so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Miller time here, right? Cal and Ethan Miller, and King Sandoval, right? I know we moved Braxton Brown up to 33, and he's probably our guy. But King's pretty dangerous, and he likes to throw some big moves out there. He was leading the country in pins a couple of years ago going into the qualifiers. So he can be electric, and so that's fun down low, and then Mr. Neville's up top, back on the West Coast. I think that's really cool for him. He had people waiting for him in the lobby. I mean, he had like an entourage, so that's awesome, and obviously Jackson Smith, right? I mean, he's pretty electric at times. So I think we've got some horses. We'll see how fast they can run. I also think Chase Milnick has wrestled well for us in tournaments in the past. I hope he has a good weekend. He's had a couple round of 12s in the scuffle. He had a solid Tiger style. So it seems to be when things get deep, his best kind of comes out. So hopefully we see that this weekend as well.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Gavin Bell, who's wrestling at 65. John Martin Best is going to be out for the year. He had season-ending surgery yesterday. He'll be out until next year, which is unfortunate for him and for us. But Gavin will step in. We're going to give him some opportunities, and we've got 2 freshmen that we left back home too that we'll probably test out and see kind of where they are as the season progresses. That way, it'll be probably competitive for a while.
Yeah, you mentioned Miller Time, Cal, just with a big win over Cole Matthews, a couple weeks back. What have you seen from him this year that has really caused him to take that next step?
Well, and the weekend before, he had a big win over Josh Edmond in the finals at Tiger Style. So I think we're just seeing consistency, right? He's not a true freshman anymore. If you go back and look at his record last year, I think he had like 11 losses that were 1 position, 1 point, or overtime. And it's like, and then I think for a while there might have been 7 of 8 or 8 of 9 went that way going into the qualifier. But he kept having really good days of practice. And Coach Brissett and I, we would leave and we'd be like, Cal might have had the best day. Next day, Cal might have had the best day. And we were just like, he's going to be fine. He's going to be right there. And then he wrestled really well at Big Tens and won 2 matches at the Nationals and had a solid U.S. Open. We probably didn't wrestle him at the right weight at the U20s. With 2-day weigh-ins on scratch, I think we should have moved him up. But that might have helped us get him back down for the season this year. So, half a dozen 1/6 the other there. But he's just been super consistent. And I would say that feeling that Nick and I had last year for about 6 weeks down the stretch, really 4 weeks down the stretch, where we just kept seeing these practices that were really, really good and really consistent and really high level. It's been that all fall and really all summer. I mean, he's a stud. And he doesn't have a choice, right? I mean, like growing up, he had to deal with his older brother, and his older brother's a horse. So he's felt just about everything you can feel. He's been headbutted, he's been uppercutted, he's been punched since he's been wrestling, right? I mean, that's how Ethan wrestles. He's just a nasty dude. And so, I don't think college wrestling or Division I wrestling or Big Ten wrestling, for that matter, overwhelmed Cal at all. And so we knew starting him as a true freshman, we were going to be okay. He made us look smart. And he continues to make us look smart. He does a really good job with his weight, with his preparation. He's an architecture major. The dude is the total package. So I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah. Looking at Maryland wrestling as a whole, I feel like there's been this slow and steady build. What is the culture? What does it take to build that culture, and where do you see it going from here?
What's it taken? A lot. It's taken a lot of people too, like administration really getting behind us, alums, friends of the program, donors supporting us at a really high level, kids, families believing in our vision. Jackson Smith was the first one in that top 10 class that we had a couple years ago, in the Ethan Miller, Braxton Brown, Jackson Smith class. Jackson was first. I think it was like October of his junior year. In fact, the picture came up on my Facebook memories the other day, and he's just like little tiny scrawny kid. He's like the same size as Coach Brissetta. And so that really started it, was I think the first 2 pillars of our program, faith and sacrifice, and a lot of faith, people believing that we could do this, and then sacrifice, just putting in a lot of hours and a lot of work and some not fun times. I'll just be really candid. Some really not very fun times. A couple times where I was like, what did I get myself into here? What did I get my family into? What did I get Nick's family into, and Devin's? And you got to get up the next morning and put your shoes on and go back to work and do it again and try to stay level as much as possible. Never too high, never too low. Just go back to work and grab your lunch pail, grab your shovel, and get back to it. And that's what we've been doing. I used the tagline, right? Like Rome wasn't built in a day when I got here. I was like, but some asshole had to start laying brick. We're those assholes, right? And we just keep laying bricks. And our kids are laying bricks. And they do a really good job of having faith in what we're doing as a staff and the plan we're putting together. And they're going out and competing like it. And that's why you're seeing some really good results. And as we continue to develop that and there's more and more of them, you'll see more and more results. And I think slow and steady is a good way to put it. Some of that's probably not by design, right? I mean, I'd love to catch lightning in a bottle and do the TCU model, throw it out there and be in the national title hunt, right? COVID didn't help that. COVID continues not to help that with all the 6th and 7th year guys that are in lineups. It's just the way it is. We have a young team and our kids need to understand that. When you get out in the real world, it doesn't matter how old you are. Right? It doesn't matter who's had an account or who's had this lead, or you got to go battle every day and try to find a way to make a way for you and your family. And our kids are learning how to do that right now.
Yeah. Anything else for us? I know you got practice day going.
Well, I guess 3 things. One is I want to say thanks to Chase Pammy and the guys here at Gold Rush to extend an invite to us and provide an awesome space for us to work out. So super gracious of him, by him to do that for us. So very thankful of him. Want to say a big shout out on National Giving Day. Our friends of our program, alums, boosters, they came through way more than I thought they would. It was awesome to see the support, the email come through. And that was really, really cool. And then just, to everybody out there that's kind of watching this slow and steady, climb that we're on, just keep watching. I think, watch our kids, watch them compete, watch them have fun, enjoy them. I know they're enjoying it too. So, we're doing it, and we'll continue to lay those bricks.
Cool. Excited to watch you this
Appreciate
weekend.
it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.